News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moskow.
Karen, we begin with the high-stakes summit now just hours away. This afternoon, President Donald Trump is set to arrive in Anchorage, Alaska, for a face-to-face meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The president's hoping to broker a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine, but he's tamping down expectations ahead of the meeting.
I think it's going to be a good meeting, but the more important meeting will be the second meeting that we're having. We're going to have a meeting with President Putin, President Zelensky, myself, and maybe we'll bring some of the European leaders along, maybe not. I don't know that it's going to be very important. We're going to see what happens.
President Trump spoke from the Oval Office. In an interview with Fox News, the president said there's a 25% chance the summit won't be successful.
Well, as for Putin, Nathan, he's praising the president for his efforts to stop the fighting, and he's dangling the prospects of economic cooperation and a new nuclear arms treaty with the U.S. We get more on that from Bloomberg News senior writer Stephanie Baker.
Putin is trying to appeal to Trump's instinct to cast himself as this great peace-loving leader, striking deals all around the world, seeking a Nobel Peace Prize, which everyone knows he wants. I also think it's part of Putin's strategy to try to broaden the stakes of this meeting beyond just Ukraine.
And that's Bloomberg's Stephanie Baker. The White House says President Trump will meet with Putin at 11 a.m. Alaska time. That's 3 p.m. on Wall Street. Stay with Bloomberg for complete coverage of the Trump-Putin summit in Alaska throughout the day and night as we take you live through the joint news conference expected later this evening on Bloomberg Radio, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Podcast channel on YouTube.
Well, Karen, the Trump administration is considering taking a stake in Intel. Sources say the plan stems from a meeting this week between President Trump and Intel CEO Lip Bhutan. The government's potential stake could support expansion of Intel's domestic manufacturing, especially its planned factory hub in Ohio. Tom Giles is Bloomberg's executive editor for tech.
So this is really early days, but it would be a pretty momentous event and development in terms of, new ways that the Trump administration is inserting itself into U.S. industries. We saw it with the steel industry previously, and now with chips.
Bloomberg's Tom Giles says Intel declined to comment on the discussions. Shares in the company rose more than 7% on the news yesterday. This morning, they're up another 3%.
Nathan, the Oracle of Omaha is moving markets this morning. Shares of UnitedHealth Group are up 12.5% in early trading. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway bought shares of the healthcare company in the second quarter. According to a filing, Berkshire acquired 5 million shares in UnitedHealth, giving the conglomerate a stake worth $1.6 billion. And we get more from Bloomberg Markets reporter Christine Aquino.
That stock has gotten so much cheaper over the past year. Of course, we know a lot of the idiosyncratic issues that UnitedHealth has encountered, a lot of turmoil in their management group following the incidents of last year. And so a lot of kind of headwinds for the company. They missed their earnings for the first time in more than a decade. And that has led to a much cheaper valuation for the company. But, we know Berkshire really likes these blue chip companies. They like companies that can deliver stable long-term returns. And UnitedHealth, before the turmoil of last year, was one of those companies.
And Bloomberg's Christine Aquino says Berkshire also sold its stake in T-Mobile US and trimmed its holding in Apple and Bank of America.
Looking at the economy now, Karen, Wall Street traders are dialing back expectations for a rate cut next month. That's after higher than expected producer prices yesterday, suggesting companies are passing along elevated import costs tied to tariffs. The odds of a September cut fell to around 85%. That was up or down from more than 100% before that PPI report.
And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moskow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.